Welcome to Snohomish Off-road Adventures. I'm John, and today I'm going to show you how to change the oil on your 2021 Polaris Ranger XP 1000. First thing you want to do is start the UTV and let it run for a couple minutes. You'll get the oil warmed up so that it all flows out of the engine easily. Okay, the engine's nice and warm, so now come on back here and I will show you what we're going to do next. So a good idea before you change the oil in any vehicle is to remove the oil fill cap. That will release any vapor lock that might occur in the system. So you're going to find your oil cap underneath the bed. You raise the bed by just pulling this lever up. It's on a strut, so it'll pull itself up pretty easy. So this is your oil cap right here. When you are in this area, especially after the engine has been running, this is going to be very warm, so make sure you don't touch that piece. You just give your oil cap half a twist and just set it on top like that, and that'll release any vapor pressure. If you want a little more room in this area, you can take the pin off of the strut here and you just pull that out and then pop that out, and your bed will slide back just a little bit farther. I like to leave this in here just so that we don't lose it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and drain the oil. So we need a 6mm Allen key. We have a socket that we're going to use that fits on a ratchet. You can get a kit for that, or you can just use a regular Allen key set. So I will meet you underneath. All right, we're at the back of the UTV. So we've got our rag for when we pull the drain plug out. So we got our 6mm Allen socket. You're going to find your oil drain plug right here, right in the middle of a triangular shaped cutout in your rock slider. So we're going to go ahead and crack this loose and let the oil drain. Oh, one thing to note, on these the crush washer likes to stick to the oil pan, so go ahead and give that a jiggle before you take the oil plug all the way out, and that way you don't have that dropping into your oil pan. So we're going to let that drain, and then I'll meet you back up top and we'll talk about this crush washer. Okay, let's talk about the crush washer and the drain plug for just a second. So we got a kit from Polaris, and that kit normally includes a crush washer in this little package here. However, as you can see, there is no crush washer in there. Here's your part number. You can get these from Polaris for like 6 per pack, really cheap. If they did to you what they did to us and gave you nothing, this crush washer is 12mm inside diameter, or rather the bolt is an M12 thread. So you can go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone or some other place and get a crush washer there. In our case, our O'Reilly's only had M14, so we are going to reuse our crush washer. There is no damage to it. I've inspected it, and there's no nicks or grooves or indents or anything like that. Just a little bit shiny. So this crush washer is okay. We're going to go ahead and reuse that. Said no.
It's okay.
So let's jump back under the UTV and put this back on. So it's still dripping a little bit. That's okay. We're gonna throw this back in, try not to drop it in the oil pan. Manufacturer has a specific torque that they want you to set this to. We're gonna go ahead and use our hand torque.
It's a calibrated elbow.
Yeah, click, click. There we go. Feels good. Go ahead and clean it off, and we're good. Next up, oil filter. So
I can see you.
Even though this is the first oil change, obviously it's still a little black. This is your break-in oil, so it's going to operate a little bit differently than normal oil. So always a good idea to change this out after the first 50 miles. Before you take the oil filter off, make sure the oil pan's still under there because there's still oil in the oil filter. So from the factory, the oil filter is on there rather tight, so it's a good idea to have an oil wrench. The oil filter is in a little bit difficult to reach spot on this particular Polaris vehicle. It is straight down here, so if you reach down under here, you can actually grab onto it. Okay, so we got our oil filter off. It's obviously full of oil. I'm gonna try to keep as much in there as I can just to minimize mess. I'll go down and underneath. There we go. Before we put our new oil filter in, we need to lube up the O-ring here so that it seats correctly. So we can just take some of the old oil from the oil filter or the oil pan or wherever and just slide it around on there, and then we can go ahead and throw it in. Before you put your new oil filter in, it's always a good idea to clean up the housing where the oil filter sits, just to get any extra oil or contaminants or anything else off of there. All right, now we're gonna throw our new oil filter on there. Just reach back under the same way as you took the old one off, and don't cross thread it. There we go.
Whatever you do, don't force it.
Because then you're gonna have a bad day when you put oil in and restart it. Okay, so when the O-ring seats, the oil filter instructions are to turn it an extra 3/4 of a turn. All right, that's about 3/4. Okay, we have the oil filter in, we have the drain plug in, so now we're gonna go ahead and put the oil in. So we got 2 quarts plus a pint. These engines take all of this oil. So that's the great thing about this kit, is it includes everything you need. You don't have to guess, you don't have to measure, just throw it all in. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the smaller one first. You got a little seal on here, take that off. Make sure you don't get any of this inside the engine because you're gonna have a really bad day if you do. If you pour it with this part down, it'll control the pour a lot better than if you're pouring this way, or you can use a funnel. There you go. No glugging, no spilling. If you don't have a funnel, or you are lazy like me, you can make yourself a little impromptu funnel by cutting one of these in half. Okay. Just make sure you do that on a rag because it gets a little messy. All right, and there is our funnel. Down the hatch. And make sure it all gets in. Throw the oil cap back on, make sure nothing gets down in there. Close this up, fire it up, let it run for a minute, check the oil, the dipstick, make sure everything's good, and then we are done. Let's put the strap back on, take this pin back out. It's helpful to have another person, but you don't necessarily need it. Slide it back through, and your pin. We're going to leave this up because we are going to fire up the engine, let it warm up for a minute, and then check the dipstick, which is right over here on the passenger side of the vehicle. We're going to fire this up. First thing before you do, if you are in an enclosed space, make sure you open your garage or a door or a window or something. Let it run for a minute and then we'll come back.
Apparently, the engine makes a slight little tick, lifter tick, when you start it up when it's cold. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You'll be fine. Don't freak out. I kind of freaked out, but then I was like, oh yeah, I've been a mechanic forever that does that.
Okay, it's been about a minute. I'm gonna shut it off and go check the oil. The dipstick just clicks up like that. You pull it straight out. Just wipe it off. Okay. We are, don't know if you can see that, we are right in the middle of these two dots, which is perfect. So that is the end. So you put it back in and you flip it back down. And that's it. Thanks for checking us out. Hopefully this how-to was helpful to some of you or all of you. Give this video a like, throw a comment down below. Thanks for watching.